Upgrading a computer back in the 90s wasn't always an easy affair. Sure, a lot of us enjoyed tinkering with it, but most people wanted to grab something off the shelf, knowing it would work with their PC. IBM saw an opportunity there and launched the Easy Option line of accessories and peripherals and expansion cards. Today, we have the AC525 Game and Audio card, a sound card that supposedly is made by IBM, but I have my doubts there. I can't really find much information about the card actually, except that in their documentation it says that it will make software come alive, which is a bold claim. Again, I don't really know what card is in here, but there's only one real way to find out. We're going to have to unshrink wrap this, test out the card, and see if it works and what kind of card it actually is. Welcome back to Rick's Random Retro, where we always take the easy option. Alright then, so we have the Easy Options by IBM Sound Blaster compatible Game and Audio card in front of us. This is model number AC525 as I mentioned earlier, and it's a little hard to find information on this card online, but we'll take a look and see what actually is on the card itself. That's what I couldn't really find, was what the actual chipset or audio processing that's on this card, so we'll take a look at it once we open the box. Of course, it's still sealed, so we will go ahead and destroy this shrink wrap for starters. I know. Just gonna have to. Only way to get into this card, take a look. Gentle there. The moment of truth. Unshrink wrapping new old stock. Well, these things are meant to be used anyway, right? There we go. That reduces the glare a little bit too. Smells like new old stock. A little easier to see now, yeah, but we have again the Sound Blaster compatible card. There's some software included, so we'll take a look at that. We can experience digital music, special sound effects, voice input, and more compatible with IBM products. It is quite a trip to see the text and verbiage on here because it is just ridiculous, but don't just play sounds on your computer, blast them with the Easy Options Game and Audio card from IBM. It's an FM music synthesizer, microphone jack, game MIDI port, and more, all in one unit. How delightful. 2-year warranty, I don't think that's applicable anymore, but they went pretty all out on all the, upselling it as a sound card. It is a sound card with everything that comes with that, but Sound Blaster compatible, so let's take a look at what's inside the box. If I can open it. All right, it's a pretty packed box in here, so we'll see what's all in here. Oh, looks like we have. All right, we have the Game and Audio card driver installed diskette, DOS, utilities, and Windows. 1 out of 1, date stamp 10/07/93. So, all right, we'll take a quick look in here. Start breaking the seal. Oh, it's an actual envelope. Alright, looks like it's just the floppy itself here, which of course will come in handy. Game and Audio card, driver, installed diskette, DOS, utilities, and Windows. Well, alright, that's not the super impressive part or interesting part on this. Of course, here's the main event, which is the box with the glorious sound card in it. Alright, we got a pretty hefty start guide, and also all the extra software. Oh my goodness. That is 5 floppies of extra software at your service. Let's take a look at the software in here. What do we got? Of course, it does say that they include games like Lemmings, things like that. They're all in the video sleeve too. We have at your service, disc 1, 2, and 3. And then we have Nova, sample game. And then we have Lemmings 8-level game install disc. And the pocket recorder. So, included the software, which listed, let's see, it said Lemmings, Nova, and more. Which, it's Lemmings and Nova, and then the extra software that comes with this. So we'll take a look at that once we get it installed on the computer. We have the handy, easy-to-use guide to help you get the most from your new Easy Options product. Please take a few minutes to fill out this card. Registration information is always fun. Really quick start guide here. And then just the actual manual. Welcome, how to use this guide, how to set all the I/O settings, get the sound card up and running. But let's take a look at the actual card. That's why we're here after all, right? All right, there we go. Put that out of the way. So yeah, then we have the Still in static bag here. Never opened before. Gotta get that electronic smell. That doesn't smell like much electronics at all. A little disappointing. It's always the nice part opening a new old stock. You never know what it's going to smell like. This is a weird hobby, isn't it? But, you know, we do this because we like it. Okay, and this card feels very minty fresh. Then, of course, there is, you know, not a speck of dust on this. We do have manual jumper settings. We have a manual volume control wheel, as we can see on the exterior box and everything. We do have the actual Yamaha OPL chip on here, the YM3812, which is the main event as far as the FM synth goes. But then the actual, well, let's take a look at this here, see if we can peel the sticker off and see what the actual chip is on here. At least what I found online, there wasn't much information on what this card actually is. Of course, I have the serial number here, but it is just, you know, one of those IBM bundle ones that you could buy and plug right into your computer and know that it would work, right? Nothing special per se, but it's still interesting to take a look and see what the card is capable of, what it can do. Yeah, we have all our jumper settings. We'll take a look at the manual and see what we need to set. But let's see if we can maybe get that sticker off there and take a look and see what the actual chipset is, because I can't find information online on what the chip actually is powering this. Of course, we have the Yamaha chip for FM synth, but then for Sound Blaster compatibility, sound effects and everything, what actually is on this card, and as you can tell, it looks very generic. There's not much information, and that's kind of what IBM wanted, right? They didn't want you to think of this as a third-party product. It is an IBM easy install option after all. Put this in your IBM compatible computer and use the software, and off you go. So there's a much extra information on here, but yeah, let's take a look at maybe the chip under that sticker, and we'll plop this in our 46 and see what it sounds like. New old stock. Okay, so I've had a little bit of time to do some research now, and I can say that this is a MediaVision Thunderboard. Now that the chip is exposed, we can see, sure as enough, this says Thunder here, upside down, but this is kind of like a Sound Blaster 1.5 clone. So definitely a cut down kind of Sound Blaster design. Of course, not made by Creative Labs or anything like that, but it is a direct competitor, or well, a clone. So it has a similar feature set as the Sound Blaster 1.5. We have manual jumper settings or dip switches here to select the interrupt and DMA settings on the card, including some extra jumper features. We have a speaker out and also microphone in, and then that manual volume knob that we saw earlier, and then also a game port. Otherwise, it's a pretty bare bone sound card from the era, although again, we do have that original Yamaha OPL sound chip on here, which is a good sign. But yeah, there's not much else to say about this. The Thunderboard did enjoy a little bit of support in specific games, but not very many, if any at all, really, from what I've seen. So it's an interesting choice that IBM would take this to rebundle it as a easy option, because you can tell it doesn't say anything about a Thunderboard anywhere on the box. They basically, no, we made this card, we made this. But it is clearly made by MediaVision, and that's their logo here and everything. Again, has a cool name, Thunderboard, so that's cool. But next up, of course, is to see how it sounds in a computer. So to test this card out, we need an era-appropriate computer. And today, that is the HP Vectra VE. It's a classic 46 running at 66 MHz, and it is bone stock. That means onboard video, a spinning hard drive, and a sound card we'll look at and compare against shortly, and a case that has seen some love. It has blemishes, scuffs, and tape still on it, and it's just the way I like it. I love this machine. It's an extremely typical 46 of that era, and it's a perfect fit for us to test out our Thunderboard. Let's go ahead and open the case up, dig our way to the expansion cards, and take a look at what's inside. With the old card out, we'll add in our Thunderboard and put the case back together. So the sound card that's currently in this machine, or was, is a very typical OEM sound card for this time period. That is the condensed and cost-cut Soundblaster 16 Vibra. While it is a Soundblaster 16, it's of a later design where chips are combined and corners are cut to keep the cost down. A favorite of many system sellers of the day, I think many of us experienced this cut-down version of the legendary Soundblaster 16 back then. That said, well, maybe not the best, it's a very compatible sound card and it works in a ton of games. Okay then, now that we have our now identified Thunderboard, installed into our computer, we can kind of take a look at some of the options and some of the software that came with the card. And we did have a stack of floppies. I did go ahead and install most of the software here. First off, we have the drivers and utilities, which just installs itself into a audio folder with a whole bunch of software. But interestingly enough, with this particular card, normally you might have like a mixer or something like that. Like I'm thinking of the Soundblaster cards where you can adjust volume and do all that kind of stuff. No such luck here. You actually have a software called Set Vol, and all that does is just like, do you want to adjust the volume? And I'm going to turn it down because it's going to get noisy otherwise, but it just plays a tone, and then you can basically just kind of touch the wheel. Like you can see, like here we go, just up and down, and there's no like soft settings for this. It's all done in hardware on the actual machine, and then you press enter to stop that tone. It's an interesting choice, but I mean, it is what it is. It's a hardware wheel to get volume going there, and it's not a soft set like you might see in other software. Well, there are other sound cards, I should say. There isn't a whole heck of a lot else that it puts in here. There's a few executables. There's a, let's see, we have a test file here, if I can find it. Oops. There you go, TB test. And then it will actually do an adjusted volume no. Again, nice little thunder, again, tying into that whole Thunderboard. Isn't that rad? Cool. Looks like it might rain today. Thunder. Anyway, it's a fun little thing, and yeah, it's fully operational. That's it. There isn't much else you can configure or set in this one. I did find, if I can find it again, one piece of software here that was, yeah, T-Master. It's like a recorder. I don't have a microphone plugged in now, of course, but it basically will just play that same sound clip that we just listened to a second ago. It was, you know, it tells you the information or statistics on the information on this particular sound file, but that's it. It's like a sound player. That's it. There isn't a whole heck of a lot else that comes with it, which ties in again to that whole budget idea for the sound card. But it did come with a little bit more stuff. Like, yeah, there's not much else as far as software goes here. That's pretty much, it's very bare bone. But as far as the other stuff that came with it, just a couple of game demos actually. We have Nova 9, which is kind of like a, I must say, first-person tank game, which it came with. So you can check that out. Games, I have that in the right directory. Nova 9. And Nova Demo, we'll run the demo here, which it actually just uses a Thunderboard. Interesting enough that, I'll show you the setup software here in a second too, but the music works, the ad-lib compatible music, but there's no Soundblaster sound, best I can tell, and there's no configuration except Thunderboard. Actually, this piece of software is the only one I've seen so far that actually specifically calls out the Thunderboard as a selectable sound card that, you know, we don't see in most pieces of software otherwise, or in most games. There were very few, if any, games that supported the Thunderboard. Let's see if we skip this here. There we go. Nova 9. That sounds fine. I mean, it's a nice little ad-lib sound there, and you just drop right in, and you can shoot things. And I never played this game otherwise, but here's the demo for it, and it's included. Probably because it explicitly supports the... whoops, I don't want to run... Oh, that guy's really not nice. That's not very nice at all. Get out of the way. Because it supports the Thunderboard specifically. And again, that's a pretty rare thing to see. Most games would use just the Sound Blaster compatibility, as we'll see in some of the other games. But in this particular instance, it actually calls out the Thunderboard explicitly, which is a nice change. But again, you just get music here and no sound or sound effect. Interesting enough, too, to exit this game, you have to hit Control-Alt-Delete. Then it tells you do you want to quit the DOS. You know how many different key combinations I tried? Because this is the Wild West. Every game had its own exit sequence. In this case, you have to hit Control-Alt-Delete of all things. But if we go to Setup here, the Install program, you can actually see that the music, the only one you have, is Thunderboard. It calls that out explicitly. And I can't change it, and that's it. But I can't get any other sound effect or anything to work. It's just the music. So that's an interesting one to include because, I mean, it's just what's included with it. You think that would have all the features, but no such luck. So Nova 9 was one that was included as a sample game, which, it's a nice thing to test your sound card with. Another one we have in the bundle here is the Lemmings 8-level game, which, it's Lemmings, but it's basically the demo of Lemmings. And we're going to start that here, and it's going to say Lemmings VGA. We'll launch it, and then we'll run with PC compatible, because that's what we're running. And it's Lemmings, like love or hate, whatever. But it does have sound effects and music. So, but I think that's all through the ad-lib as well in this case here, the compatibility. But it sounds fine and seems to play fine. It's Lemmings. Now, I will say play fine. You see there's some glitching going on. I've tried different settings. I'm not sure why the graphics glitch out. Maybe someone knows, but it's just in this game. Occasionally you see these little glitches appear, and that's both on the CRT and the capture, and I'm not sure where that's coming from. I tried a few different compatibility modes, but no luck. It's all just glitching around. But we have sound effects, we have movement, we have music, all the good stuff. So that seems to be just fine. No problem there. But we're gonna pop our poor unsuspecting Lemmings here. There they go. Yep, and we got the sound effect of the popping and everything. So this seems to work just fine, which is a nice included demo version. We're gonna exit out of Lemmings because it's Lemmings, and that's pretty much it. Now both the Sound Blaster 16 Vibra and the Thunderboard are budget boards, and they're designed as such. However, they both have something pretty cool going for them, which is that real Yamaha OPL chipset that's on board both, although with slightly different chips and design. But that all but guarantees we have some pretty good FM music and DOS games, and I'm going to show both cards playing some music in a few games. Let me know if you hear any difference at all, because they should sound pretty similar. Let's take a listen to that Sound Blaster compatibility instead and see how both cards handle sound effects. And here is the Thunderboard all by itself showcasing part of the Dune 2 intro.
The planet Arrakis, known as Dune. Land of sand. Home of the spice, melange. The spice controls the empire. Whoever controls Dune controls the spice.
So I should mention, of course, the 46 series is ripe for Windows 3.11, and the sound does work just fine in here. It does come with a software suite here, which I'm a little curious about, called At Your Service. My guess says it's like faxing software and, voice recording and that kind of stuff, but after installing it, unfortunately, it just causes a general protection fault, so the software doesn't run. So that's a bit of a challenge. Now, it could very well be because I still have some remnants here from the Soundmaster card that was installed before, the Vibra 16. So that might be an issue. I'm not going to take the time to clean it out because I'm going to put that card back in. But yeah, would be cool to try. It's busted right now, but let's find a game here. Let's see, I know Just Ball probably has a bunch of sound effects. Yep. And that worked just fine. So as far as general audio use inside of Windows, no problem there, except the fact that the software they bundle with it is just busted. But sound, as you have it otherwise, seems to work just fine, which I guess that's all you can ask of a budget card like this, but it works, so that's cool. Nice. I don't know what happened there. This hard drive might be going out, but anyway, sound in Windows works just fine, even though the software that they bundle with it does not. So take that for what you will. Now, in the sake of full disclosure, although most of the audio you've heard from games so far in this video have been captured directly from the speaker out on both sound cards, I have done a lot of noise suppression in software and post. The reason for that is that I don't know if that noise comes directly from the, the sound cards, there's a ground loop in the computer, it's just old equipment, whatever it might be, but there's a pronounced, hiss in the background. And I decided to noise suppress that a little bit in post because I wanted you to be able to hear the sound card better. And you may only hear that background noise using good headphones or just listening really closely. Just listening on my standard regular beige speaker from the 90s, you can't hear anything, they sound perfectly fine. So it might just be that this is just the way it was back then and we just never listened that closely or on good enough equipment. But just for the sake of full disclosure, I did put a clip here following this that shows the difference between the noise suppression and not noise suppressed. And you can judge for yourself. Alright, so to kind of wrap this up, we'll just play some Doom, why not? Because that's the thing with the sound card is that, there may be fancier options and other cards that may be more glamorous or sought after, but it just kind of works too. I see the whole idea with the IBM Easy option. You just pop it in and it generally works. Is this the absolute best sound card you can get? No, but would you have had a really good time just playing games with this back in the day? Absolutely. It's something to keep in perspective when you look at a lot of rare parts and rare cards. that the standard cards often get forgotten, and you know, more often than not, that's what we experienced, or at least I did back in the day, with these kind of mid-range budget cards. And the Thunderboard, or the IBM Easy Option AC525, as they like to call it, is just such a board. And at the end of the day, it's fun. I mean, you can play with it, and it plays games. It plays all your typical DOS games that you would expect, and really has no problems with compatibility. It's a fine sound card. Is it a great sound card? Not really. You know, it's pretty noisy, and it's got some other drawbacks, but compatibility it's got going for it. I couldn't find anything that wouldn't really work with it, and as you can tell here, just run around in Doom and shooting demons, it's just as fun. So I think that's just something to kind of keep in mind as we're looking at these budget cards, and this Thunderboard is no exception. So I enjoyed messing with this card. It was fun to see what it was all about, and since I had no idea what it was pretty fun to explore it. But I hope everyone enjoyed a nice look at this unknown, but now known, Thunderboard. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my other ones. I cover a wide range of random retro topics, including old computers, games, and whatever else I can come up with. You can find me on social media, and be sure to catch me live at 8:45 p.m. Central on Thursdays. Until next time.